Hi friends, it's Sarah at Crochet with Coffee, and today we are making this cardigan. So it is made up of moss stitch, and that is just single crochets and chains, so it's really simple to make. And this ribbing is all slip stitches, so that's also really simple. And then the cuffs are a slip stitch ribbing. So all very easy, beginner friendly stitches, and it makes such a cute cardigan. I'm going to show you. So this is the fit. It's nice and big, loose and comfy. It is made with Red Heart Flower Power, and I'll put the color that I used in the description. You can check that out as well. You can see the stripes are all different widths here because of the distance. So the stripes are more narrow on the back, they get wider on the front, and then they're wide on the sleeve. So it gives a really nice look. It's very comfy, and it is made up of a big rectangle on the back with two points that you go up a little bit. I don't think I have this in the tutorial because I added it after, so I apologize for that. But I have about 2 inches that I worked a seam here. I'll put a diagram showing you what it was that I did. I left 4 inches in between here and did another like 2 to 3 inches on either side, bringing it up almost like a U shape on the back. So that's what I did for the back of this cardigan. And then I did 2 long rectangles for the front panels and 2 rectangles for the sleeves, and then added the ribbing. So totally customizable with the size that you want. If you would like to check out my measuring for tops and cardigans, sweaters, that's going to be a good help for you to figure out your size for this. So it's totally customizable. Make it however you want it to fit. If you want it form-fitting, if you want it bigger, you want it more baggy than this, you just go off of your own dimensions and your own size. So that's a lot of fun that you can change it up and do whatever you want with this. I did use that Red Heart like granny square skein, and I can't remember the color that I used for this one. I don't have it with me, but I'll link it in the description for you. But that's why it changes colors like this. If you want to use just a regular variegated or striped yarn or solid yarn, you can do that. You can make it with whatever you'd like. So I am so excited to work this up with you so you can see how to do it. And let's get started so that you can enjoy having one of these cardigans as well. And if you haven't already subscribed, I'd love to have you. Subscribing is free, so it doesn't cost you anything to just click that button. And also click the little bell, and then you will also get notified when I post new videos. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'm excited to get started with you. I'm so excited to be using this Red Heart yarn. It's the pre-measured one to make these really cool granny squares with the flowers on them. We're not going to be making these granny squares though. But if you want to get this yarn, the instructions are on the inside of this paper, a wrap. You can also find it online, instructions. But that's not what we're making today. Today we are making a cardigan in moss stitch. So excited about this one. It is so cute. And we're going to go over the instructions for this. Right now I'm working on the ribbing for the second sleeve, so I'm going to go over that with you. And how we're going to start that is we are going to do a slip knot. If you need instructions on how to do a slip knot and chains, you can go to the beginner video playlist that I have. That'll give you a step-by-step for that. But this, we are going to be making the ribbing, and the ribbing is a bunch of slip stitches in the back loop only. So I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So then we're going to be working in our back loops here. So we're going to skip our first chain and work in the back loop, not the back loop, the back little bump in the back there of the chain. So in the second one, we're going to make a slip stitch. So we're going to put our hook through that little bump there, wrap it around, bring it through, and then bring it through again. That is a slip stitch. So we're going to go all the way down. We'll have a total of 8 slip stitches because that 9th chain was for our turning chain. So that's 2 slip stitches going in that back bump there. Is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you're making sure you're doing them loose enough that your return will not be too tight to get your hook into. So we're going to chain 1 for turning. All right, we're going to turn, and then we're going to go in the back loop only. See how we have that last row? We've got the chain here. We've got that V, that V, that V. That is what we're going to be working into the back loop only of that V. So back loop only. And go down the row for that. It's a little snug, but that's okay. It stretches. And if you need to slow this video down, you can pause it and rewind. You can go back and reference the steps. So all back loops only. This whole wristband is going to be slip stitches in the back loop only. Okay, so we're going to do our turning chain of 1, turn, and we're going to go in the back loop only for this row as well. And just keep going back and forth, back and forth. And doing, make sure that you are counting your stitches because it's easy to lose a stitch. So you want to make sure that you continue having 8 each row. Sometimes that last one is a little sneaky, hard to get to. Just make sure you're counting 8 in each row. So I'm going to do a total of 48 rows for my wrist size. Mine ended up being, I think, 8 inches. Let me see. And 48 stitches. Yours might be a little bit shorter or longer depending on your wrist measurement, but what you're going to do is take a little measuring tape, measure your wrist size. So mine was about
7 inches. I went a little bit bigger. All right, now we have our finished wristband. And I'm going to measure it, see if it's at 7 inches there. All right, we've got 7 inches. All right, and yours might be more or less rows depending on your tension and also the size of your wrist. So there we go, 48 rows there. All right, and now I'm going to show you how to start the arm part of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a single crochet in the end of each row here. So we should have 48 or however many rows you did. Mine's going to be 48 single crochets in this edge here. And so I chained one there. So in each of these little gaps right here, we're going to do 2 single crochets in the end of each of these gaps. It's an easy way to make sure that you're counting the right amount of single crochets per row. So you can tell in between each of these, I'm getting 2 single crochets in between each of these little ridges here. So there's 2 little spaces. If you can't find 2 little spaces, put them both in the same one as long as you have 2 in between each of these ridges here. Right there. So it's really however you can get it to fit. Sometimes the stitch spaces are easier to find. See that one, I was able to find 2 separate spaces. Down here, I had to put it in the same spot because it was hard to find those 2 separate spaces. So however you can get it to work, as long as they're between those little ridges right there. See those ridges I'm talking about? Right between there. So 2 in between each one. And you'll have a total of 48. I'm going to work to the end and I'll meet you back when we are going to turn our work. All right, so we have finished our first row of single crochets into our ribbing. So again, I have 48 rows of ribbing, so I have 48 single crochets across. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And now I am going to single crochet into this first stitch and chain 1. And that's what we're going to do across the entire row, is we're going to chain 1, skip a stitch, and single crochet into the next one. This is going to be all the way across. So single crochet, chain 1, skip 1 stitch, single crochet into the next, chain 1, skip 1 stitch, single crochet into the next, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet into the next. And this is the moss stitch. This is the foundation row that we're doing, setting it up for the moss stitch. So all the way across, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet into the next. right, so we're at the end of our row there. So you should have 24 single crochets and 24 chain one spaces, including your turning chain over here. All right, so we're going to chain one and turn our work. Now we're going to start on the increases. So for this sleeve, what we're going to do is increase up the side until you reach the measurement that you took of your armhole that's going to be there for your sleeve. Mine is 17 inches wide, so I'm going to do my increases until I reach 17 inches wide, and then I move up straight. I do straight rows all the way up to the rest of the arm. All right, so to get the increase, what we're going to do is do an extra stitch on our starting side of the row. So what we are going to do is, so that was our chain one and then we turned. So for our increase rows, we are going to be working into that first single crochet there. So we're going to do one single crochet, chain one, and then I'm going to single crochet into that chain one space that we had there. Chain or single crochet into that chain one. Now we're only going to work into the chain one spaces all the way across. So that is single crochet, chain one, single crochet into that chain space, in between the single crochets from the previous row, chain one, single crochet into that chain space, chain one, single crochet into that chain space, chain one, single crochet into that chain space. I hope you're seeing the chain spaces okay. You pull your work apart, you can see that is your single crochet right there, and those are your chain spaces on either side. And those are the spaces that we're working into. We're not working into this V that is the single crochet. So we're skipping those V's there. We're working into the sides. So we got our chain, and we're going to single crochet into that chain space, chain one, single crochet into that chain space, chain one, single crochet into that chain space, and we're going to do this across, and I'll meet you back at the end. Okay, and I am on the last stitch of this row, but I want to show you because it's a little hard to find. So I have my chain one here, and I'm going to work into this chain space of where we started at the beginning of the row. Might need to wiggle it open a little bit. But there's that chain space, that turning chain that we had. It's going to be right there. It's hard to see, but it's right there. All right, so we're going to work into that space, do our last single crochet. All right, and now we're going to turn our work, and we're going to do that increase on this starting side. So we have our chain one, and we're going to work into that first stitch there. So single crochet, and we're going to chain one, and now we're going to work in just the chain spaces all the way across. Chain one, single crochet into the chain space, chain one, single crochet into the chain space, chain one, single crochet into the chain space, chain one, single crochet into the chain space. We're going to do that all the way across, and I'll meet you at the end again. All right, and I am at the last stitch of this row again. Let me try and show you this piece. So see, that is our stitch, that's our last stitch, and then this chain one space at the very end, it gets kind of snug. You can wiggle it around a little bit. And if you do your chain, your turning chain a little bit looser than I did, then you won't have as much of a problem as doing it too tight. So all right, so there's that space at the end. So we're going to single crochet into that chain one space right there. That's our turning chain from the previous row. All right, so now we're going to chain one, try to do it looser this time, and we're going to turn our work and just do the same thing back and forth until you reach that width of the armhole measurement that you have. Mine is 17 inches. So I'm going to show you the increase one more time. So it's going to be single crochet in that first single crochet, chain one, single crochet in that chain space, chain one, single crochet into that chain space, chain one, single crochet into that chain space, and all the way across. And I will meet back with you when you have reached your width that you need your sleeve to be, and then I'll show you how to go straight up from there for the rest of your sleeve. So we're at the end of our row, and this is the same as what we have been doing. So this is the chain one and single crochet into that chain one space, and then this is our last row of working into that end chain space. So that was our last one for that. Chain one and turn, and then here is the new edge the new beginning that we're doing here. So I did chain one and turn, and then we're going to skip that first single crochet and go right into that chain one space. And this will allow us to keep the piece going up straight instead of increasing outward. And just continue the stitch, and I'll show you the new end, what it's going to look like without increasing the ends. I'll come back at the end of this row. Okay, so we are back with our 17 inches here. It will probably need to be moved up a little bit. It'll be very curved, but that's okay. It was very curved like this. I just scooched mine together so it's more on the straight side. Then you want to measure just to make sure. There we go, 17 inches there. So I had 16 rows from here to here, including this first row into the ribbon. All right, so to continue going straight up, we are going to go we did our chain one and turn. What we're going to do is, instead of doing our increase in this first single crochet, what we're going to do is we're going to skip over that all together and go right into our chain one space. And that is the only difference that we're going to do, is just that one single crochet into the chain space instead of that single crochet into the first single crochet and then the chain space. So I'll meet you at the end of this row, do it one more time so you can see what I'm see it again once more, and then we'll go from there. All right, and we are at the end of the row here, so this is what the new end is going to look like. It's very similar to the other. So then we're just going to go in that little chain one space there. All right, and then we're just going to continue moving up on the sleeve. So again, skip that first single crochet and go into this chain one space. All right, and then that is going to give you this look where it is going straight up on the edges here. So we did our increases and then straight up the sides. I love how that striping is. And I believe from the joining row here, the single crochet joining row here to the top of this piece was 59 rows. Yours may be different depending on your tension and the length that you need, but that was what I had for mine. And then the length of this, let's see, the length of this from the end of the cuff, the edge of the cuff there, to the top is 16, it's about 16 and a half, if I have it straight, 16 and a half inches for the length of this sleeve. You will find your measurements. I gave instructions at the beginning of the video to find your measurements on how wide you want to make your pieces. So I'm just going to go over the basic stitches, and then you can stitch to the dimensions of your measurements. All right, so what we're going to start with, and these are the same stitches for the front panels and the back panel are going to be the same instructions. They're just going to be different widths. So for my front panel, I'm making two front panels that I need to be 34 stitches wide. So it's going to be 35 chains for that. And then I am going to do my front panel was 84 stitches wide, and that would be, I would start with 85 chains. So my back panel ended up being 21 inches, and my front panel was 8.5 inches. All right, so I'm going to make another 8.5 inch panel. All kinds of string over here. So we are going to start with our 35 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, there's my 35 chains. Now I'm going to go into the back bump of the chain. So not the front, but the back bump. I think it gives it a tidier finished edge. So not the first one, but the second one. So we're going to do a single crochet into that loop, chain 1, skip that loop, and single crochet into the next loop. And this is the stitch you're going to use for all of the panels, the front and the back. So chain 1, going to skip 1 chain, and single crochet into the next. Chain one, skip one chain, single crochet into the next. Chain one, skip one chain, single crochet into the next. Chain one, skip one, single crochet into the next. All right, and we're going to go all the way across. I'll meet you back here at the end. All right, so then we are going to chain one. We're going to chain one and turn our work. And we're going to skip that first single crochet and go into that chain one space. We're going to chain one, skip that single crochet and go into that chain one space. Chain one, skip that single crochet and single crochet into that chain one space. Chain one, skip that single crochet and then single crochet into that chain one space. And we're going to do that all the way across. And I have 17 single crochets across these rows for the measurement that I needed. All right, so this ending is chain one, and then you're going to single crochet into that chain one turning chain that we had at the end there. So single crochet there, chain one, and turn. And then you're going to work the same way all the way across. So that is skip that first single crochet. You're going to single crochet into that chain one space. Like that. Chain one, and then work all the way across. All right, so we are going to put this cardigan together. All right. So I'm going to be putting those pieces together. So we're going to be seaming here over on both sides. So what I do is I take these, the eye of it is a large enough eye for the yarn to fit through. So a regular sewing needle would be a little bit too small. We're just going to go into each stitch and then go across from each other. I'm only going to pick one loop. It ends up being the back loop for each piece, just because that's the look that I want. You could pick up both if you wanted, but I like just doing the one. This is just a whip stitch. And don't pull it super tight or it's going to bunch on you, but that's what it's looking like so far. And I just line up my stitches across from each other so I know which ones to go into. If you wanted to, you could also do a what's the word I want? You could do slip stitch across here if you wanted to, which it would also be pretty. I'm just choosing to not do that this time. So that's just what you're going to do all the way to the end, and then I will meet you back when I'm finished with this piece and we'll move on to the second front panel. Alright, so we're at the end of that panel being connected. That's what it looks like. Nice and flat. And if you haven't woven in ends before, I'm going to show you really quick a nice way to make sure that it stays secure. So what I do is I've knotted this a couple times so that's not coming undone, but to hide your end so it doesn't fray apart and you see it sticking out and everything, I like to weave it through the stitches back and forth. And again, don't pull it tight or it will bunch up on you. And then I just weave back through again. And I do 3 passes because that seems to secure it pretty well. And I've never had anything unravel when I do it that way. And ends don't stick out and such. Okay, so there's that. You can't tell that it's in there. It's nice. Alright, and then I'm just going to trim it right there. And you can see that's where it's trimmed off. And it won't come out. I'm going to do this orange piece too while I'm here. And like these, how there's multiple colors, I just try to weave the ends in the matching color of the tail. That one didn't get Wiggle that around a little bit. And one more pass. These are hard to catch everything just because the stitches are looser. There's more space between it. Alright, so there's that. Trim it. There's the end right there. Alright, so that side panel is attached. I'm going to do this other side panel. And again, it's the same thing, we're just going to match up the stitches. So that is my end stitch right there. It's white, it's a little hard to see. Do that first stitch right there. Alright, and just the two loops in the back there, the two loops that are closest to each other. See how we have that V right there, and then we've got that V over there. I'm taking that stitch and that stitch, the two that are closest together. Because I like the way it looks when it's seamed together like that. Again, we're not pulling tight, we're just making it a little snug and making sure there's still some give there. Alright, and I'll meet you back at the end of this row so that we can do the sleeves. Alright, so I'm at the end, and this is how I'm going to tie the end, just knot it. And put it through that loop one more time that I just finished going through, and then that loop that's left, when it's loose, I'm just going to put it through there and then pull that tight. And do that one more time. Just through the loop like that, and then just get it all snug. And then weave in my end. Let's see if I have enough yarn on there to go one more time. I underestimated how much I was going to need. Alright. Alrighty. So we have both of those front panels sewn to the back. That's our space for our neck. And we're going to connect our sleeves. Okay, so you can see that's our seam right there. And what we're going to do with the sleeves, I fold it in half to find the center. This is the shoulder part. So I fold that in half, and I find that center right here. So I fold that in half, and my center is right here. I'm gonna pinch that real quick so I don't lose my space. And then I line it up with that seam from the front panel and the back panel meeting. So do that. Stitch markers. This one's cute. Little bead. All right, so I'm going to clip that one of those loops there to one of these loops here. All right, so that middle of the sleeve is lined up with the middle of the shoulder there, those front and back pieces put together. And then I'm going to take another stitch marker, and I'm going to see where that lands down here. And I'm going to connect that with this. And we're going to start sewing that panel on. And you can count stitches and rows to make sure that they line up here and line up here. I have not done that. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But that is always an option to make sure you're exactly in the middle. But we're just going to catch the end of that row that it's matching up with. And again, I'm only taking this back loop because that's what I like to do. So one there and one loop on the other side. And if you want to use more stitch markers throughout here, you could do that. You could do in the middle and then in the middle again to make sure that you're all completely secure. And like I said, you could count your rows and your stitches to make sure everything is even, but I'm not going to do that this time. And then I will meet you back when I am at the other end here.
All right, so I realized that my recording for the edging of this cardigan did not record. So I need to just show you what I did on a piece of scrap so that I can show you exactly what I did. But it's very simple. I started from the bottom left of the cardigan, like if you're wearing it, the bottom left, I started there and I worked my way all the way around the bottom edge, all the way, turned around, worked all the way back around, and then did one more pass. So I did 3 rows, and these are all slip stitches. But I just want to show you the direction that I went with this. I'm going to show you on that little swatch how I did the stitches, just so you know how to do it. But what you're going to do is you'd flip your cardigan upside down, and you'd start on the part. If you were wearing this and you're looking down at it, this is your left side. So you just start from this corner here and work all the way around, come up to here, work around, and do that 3 times. Just back and forth 3 times. All right, and then after that, once you finish the bottom portion, then you start from the bottom right side, if you're wearing it, the bottom right side, and you work up this direction here, all the way around the neck, all the way down to the bottom of the cardigan. Down here, you turn around and work all the way back up around, all the way down to your starting area and go one more time. So it's just 3 passes of single crochets for this as well. So I'm going to show you how you attach that on the cardigan, but I'm going to have to use my little swatch since I did not get to record this. So let's start on that. All right, so I have slip stitched all the way around the bottom of my cardigan. Remember, I'm pretending. All the way around the bottom of my cardigan. So I'm going to flip that, chain 1, and you're going to work in the back loop only of every slip stitch. Oh, that's white. I hope you can see it okay. So the back loop only of all those slip stitches. So you skip your chain, you work into the back loop only of each slip stitch with just slip stitches all the way around the bottom of your cardigan. Okay, so I have completed my second row of slip stitches. I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, skip that chain and work back loop only into that slip stitch with another slip stitch and all the way across. When you get to the end of this row, you can cut your yarn and finish it off. And I will show you the portion that goes up around the neck and sides. All right, so we have completed the bottom edging of our cardigan. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like to work up the edges. So if you were wearing this, it would be the bottom right panel, the right side panel at the very bottom corner. That's where we're going to be starting. All right, so we're going to attach this into the first row of slip stitches there. So the first row meaning the first one that's available on this edge. So first, second, third, that's how I'm looking at it. So we're going into the first row there, slip stitch into that. Then we're going to do another slip stitch into that second row of your ribbing from the bottom, and then a third slip stitch there. Then we're going to go into the first row of moss stitch there. So I'm going to do 1 slip stitch into the side of that row there, and we're going to slip stitch 1 slip stitch into the end of each row. So you can see the rows by, I just worked into that row, and now I see that's the next row. That's the next row. You can see how you have these V's here and they stack up like this. So just make sure that you're going 1 into each row. So I got that one. Now I'm going to work into this one. And the great thing is if you do miss one or you do 2 accidentally in the same one, it's not going to mess up your stitches too badly. Just try your best to stay in line with each row. That way you won't have too many that would give you some buckling or like some wavy, like lacy looking, uh, some wavy stuff going on. And if you do too few, it would bunch your project up. So do your best to just stay on the end of each row. And if you miss one or add one here and there, you'll be fine. We're just looking for the majority of the time. So you see that this is a row here, going here. This is a row here. Just one slip stitch in the end of each row, all the way around your piece. Now, I don't have this because I don't have the neck, but when you get to the neck, you have a little bit of the back piece that you're working into. And in the back piece, you're just going to be working into each single crochet and each chain across that neck space, because you'll have, you know, that one space that is the side panel, the neck, and then the other side panel. So when you get to that, just do one in each stitch and chain all the way across there, and then continue down the way that we did here with just working one slip stitch into the end of each row. All right, so when you have gotten all the way down there, then what you're going to do is chain one. Oh, and when you get to the other bottom, you're going to work your 3 slip stitches into your ends of your slip stitch rows. That will be at the other side, the other bottom of your cardigan. So I did 1 chain, and I'm going to turn my work and working into the back loop only. So another row of slip stitches in the back loop only, all the way around the sides and neck of your cardigan. To the end of my second row there, and I'm going to do something a little bit different on this row. So I'm going to chain 1, turn my work. I'm going to skip my chain and then 2 chain spaces, and I'm going to work a slip stitch into the back loop only, and then just continue to work all the way across that row. The reason why I want to do that is because I wanted this front corner to be a little bit more rounded than just completely, than just sticking out so far on this row, because I liked the way it looked where it was a little bit more of a rounded edge instead of just the abrupt squared thing there. But you can do whatever you would like, but that's what I did with mine, just to give it a softer curve here. And when you get to the bottom, of your other side, you can do your slip stitch into the second from last stitch and tie that off right there and weave in your ends, and it'll give the same look over here on the edge. So you can see that where I know my tails are in the way. It gives a nicer edge there, I think, or a nicer corner. But if you don't like that, go all the way to the end. You can do that. You could leave off these ribbing borders if you wanted altogether and just have it with your nice moss stitch as your edge, because that also looks really nice. I mean, this edge of just the moss stitch without the ribbing looks really nice too. So you can do whatever you want with this, but this is my last row of slip stitches here. And it's just 3 rows on the bottom, 3 rows up the sides around the neck and down. And that's it for the ribbing. And you have your finished cardigan. So I hope this tutorial was helpful for you. I hope that you have fun making this cardigan. I'm sorry about the last section of the recording not being exactly what I wanted it to be, but I hope it was understandable enough for you to get that last bit of ribbing on there. And this is such a nice, warm, comfy cardigan. I can't wait for you to be able to enjoy that. Have a great day. I'll see you later.